And we're back. Because the mailman came and the dogs lost their marbles. So, I was talking about a lot of topics before, so we're going to go into and call this a part 2. Messed up my hair a little bit, got disheveled. Okay. So, one of the things that I did not do when Tosca and I met, that I did with all other relationships and not relationships, was plan out our life mentally in my head. When I met people previously, I could see down this tunnel of what our lives would be like if we proceeded into a relationship together. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, sometimes it just was just kind of blah. When we met, I didn't do that. And it was never really something that I chose to think about. It just happened. It was just one of those things that happened, I guess, subconsciously, and then it kind of migrated into my conscious mind. But like I said, when we met, I didn't do that, nor did she. And she had previously done that as well. I didn't try to force her into this this life or this box that I thought that we should be in, this place that we should live, or things that we should do, or ways we should dress, or people we should associate with, anything like that. It just didn't happen. And we both realized that a few weeks into dating, and it was really cool because, again, it was one of those things that just pointed to yes, sometimes less is more. I used to have a list, and one of my therapists, my early to mid-20s, told me I would never find this person. It was 3 pages long, seriously, of qualities and things that this ideal partner would have or do or be. And so I went through this exercise in therapy where I made this list, this extensive list. I wish I could find it because it's it's a little bit insane. And then an exercise was to narrow it down to 15. Again, this is 3 pages in a proper notebook, a proper spiral notebook. So it's not like a small field notes journal or post-it note or anything. It's 3 legit pages of a list of qualities. And then from those 15, I had to choose 3. And I thought, why would I sacrifice this much? I'm not going to sacrifice this much in real life. I would rather be single forever than to, narrow down my dream person into basically everybody else in the adult world. It was ridiculous to me. I got the point of it, but I didn't want to settle. So I continued to settle for the next several years in relationships, and they were good, bad, and different, and all over the map, but I learned a ton about myself, about relationships, about life, about what I didn't want, about what I did want, about boundaries, about what I was okay with, what I was not okay with. Smoking, for example. I don't want to be with anybody that smokes, or drinks extensively, or does any type of drugs. Those are hard no's for me. For some people it's fine, but for me that is not okay. For Tosca it was the same. Smoking is not okay. It stinks, it's nasty, it's expensive, coffee tastes better. There's a litany of reasons that those were both on our list, our proverbial list. Both of us had previous relationships, obviously, and again, I can't speak for hers. Hopefully she'll elaborate on hers on a future video, but for mine, some were quite tumultuous, and there were a couple of narcissists, and you learn a lot about yourself when you deal with people with those types of behaviors. I probably learned the most about myself from those hard relationships, from those relationships that if things were going well or going okay, then I knew that there was going to be a fight about something soon because it was going okay. We were going too smooth. There's going to be a bump or a big rock in the road or something. So if you're in a bad relationship, or you're in a hard relationship, or you're in a relationship that is just really uncomfortable, but you can't quite, like, it doesn't feel like it's ready to end for whatever reason, don't punish yourself. Don't just let it play out how it's supposed to. You can cut it off too soon, but there might be something that you still feel like you need to learn if you don't feel like it's ready to end right now. And that's okay. This is how life works. Obviously, if you're in an abusive situation, then get yourself out, get yourself safe. But if you're in just a relationship that's not right for you, and you know it's not right, but you don't feel like it's to its expiration date yet, then just let it play out. Because there might be a beautiful lesson in there somewhere, or you might miss out on something, which is odd to say, but so just let it happen. Don't cut it off too soon. That also let us appreciate what we have now. Things in the past like cheating, or folks that like to go out to bars or clubs or whatever those places are, eating out all the time, all of those little things, fighting, bringing people home that aren't welcomed by everybody in the house, being disrespectful of each other's space, or of somebody's space, not helping, not being responsible or respectful, not being financially responsible, not being fully contributing for the other people's half. All of those things were things that we had to learn and experience so we would appreciate each other. We share and do together just about everything. We do chores together, we share the bills, we share responsibility with Trevor, and it's not like 50-50, it's 100. We both help get him ready for school most mornings, unless one of us is running late and needs to go, then the other will take over. And it's not a fight, it's not uncomfortable, it's not like a guilt trip sort of thing later. It's just how it is, because she's amazing and we try to make everything work and everything pleasant. If one of us doesn't feel like doing something like cleaning or cooking, then the other does it, and it's not a big deal. Or if one of us needs to take a nap, like, she gets a lot of value out of taking naps in the middle of the afternoon, and that's perfectly fine. Like, we're up early, we go all day, and I don't see a problem with that at all, and there's no reason to be guilty for that or feel guilty for that. Things like cheating and going out, I don't like to go out at all. Like, going out like to Target, that's a thing. We can go out to Target or to Red Robin, but going out to like a club or a bar is definitely not my scene, and it's not hers either. And so we really jive on that, because most nights we're in bed by like 8:30. Legit. Like, we might watch an episode of House of Cards or lay in bed and giggle like hyenas for 2 hours at, I don't know, my hair, because it does crazy things, or inappropriate jokes, or one of the dogs fart and we almost die. But those things that they just like make us happy, and so much happier than going out and being stressed. Like, we live in a legit suburb. There are more elementary schools than like anything here, and so I don't even know where we would go out to. Texas Roadhouse? I don't know. So if you're looking for somebody that is compatible with your lifestyle that you have, or the lifestyle that you want, then take those things into consideration, because that was something that was very, very important to me. I'm not a drinker, I'm not a dancer, I don't like loud noises, I don't like loud music in places like that. I don't know how else to explain it. I would rather stub my toe every day for the rest of my life than do that. And so that was something that was really high on my list of things that we didn't do as an activity together. If you are into that, then that's cool. You can probably find somebody that is quite compatible with you, that shares that same affection. I have a friend that loves to dance, and she goes out to dance places, dance clubs, but I don't know what the right terminology is. And so that's where she meets people, and that's awesome. Like, she loves to dance, and it's just like one of her things that that she needs in life, and so that works for her. And so whoever that she ends up in a relationship with, short or long term, is going to have to be either okay with her going or going with her, because that's probably one of her non-negotiables, to use a John Kim term. But for Tosca and I, that's not really a priority. Though she does love to dance, but we can do that at home. Dance party in the living room with the dogs. She's crocheting in the background. You can't see her on camera here, but she's doing a little ditty like this. Other lifestyle things. So eating well is important to me most of the time. I still enjoy a nice dessert, ice cream. I'm not an extreme health nut. I just like to be aware and mindful of what we're consuming, how much of what we're consuming, and how our bodies feel as it reacts to that. If you're an extreme health nut, like you only eat almonds and kale, and that's it, and you eat like ice, then you're going to have a hard time finding someone that's compatible with that. If you only like steak and potatoes, like literally like you're like a hamburger and french fries type of person, you might like have some luck there, but usually like branching out into other foods and being a bit more open and accepting and tolerant of other people's eating habits is good. But you also want to be mindful of, if you're steadfast in what you're consuming and you think that's the best route for yourself, then and that's something that's important to you, then you're going to have to keep that in mind and communicate that up front. For me, that was something that I'm quite boldly passionate about, and that's a regular topic of conversation. I want everything to be organic and fresh if possible, and local if possible, when possible, freshly made at home, not cooked in the microwave, all of these things, because it's something that's important to me, and that's something that Tosca's learned to be okay with and to appreciate. But it was something that we had to talk a lot about, and that might be something that you do as well. If traveling is important to you and you have to be on a plane once a month, and you meet somebody that, say, everything else feels good and is right and works for you, and you think it's going somewhere but they're afraid of flying, then how do you work through that? Do you help them through their fears, or do you say, no, not the person for me, I'm out? So you'll have to take those things into consideration. Like, had I met Tosca not knowing that she had a kid before we met, and then found out that she had a kid and say, I didn't want to be a parent, what would I say? See you in 10 years? Like, no, that's not okay. Luckily, I wanted to be a parent, and I was already, I have an 8-passenger SUV and a sedan. Like, I was ready for parenthood, for sure. We're involved in the PTA and Cub Scouts, and we go to as much at school as possible. And, I love taking him to school in the morning in the drop-off line. I think that's, like, such a cool thing. It's like going through airport security. Like, it's just one of the things to me that is, like, part of the ritual of doing something amazing. And anyway, so if these things are important to you but not to somebody else, then how do you work through that if they're otherwise, like, perfect for you? Or are they perfect for you? So a few things to consider when thinking about who you want to be with. Do you want them to be just like you, or opposite of you, or a blend? You don't want a mirror image of yourself. That gets boring. You need somebody to challenge you in most situations. Like, if you agree on everything, then that's going to get old really fast. We disagree on ice cream flavors, for example, she likes different ice cream flavors than I do, so we get our own, and we are quite happy eating our separate ice creams. We don't fight over that. She loves sushi. I do not, but I will gladly take her to a sushi restaurant, and I'll have fried rice or whatever. She is far more into politics than I am. I think it's like two sides of the same bird or coin or whatever euphemism you want to use. But it's something that she's passionate about, and so I read up on it, and I try to stay abreast on her.
You voted.
And I voted. Yep. I voted because it was important to her. It's important for a lot of people. And it felt like the right thing to do this go around, and so I did. And I read a lot about it because I wanted to be educated on at least a few people I was going to vote on and not go into it blindly. I don't like to be told what to do. So, be open to learning about things that maybe aren't as important to you, but when you love someone, what they love, you also love. And that makes everything so much easier. She probably didn't care about handmade leather bags before she met me. And now we have about 8 in our bedroom, like atop the dresser. And while they're still not her favorite thing, like, she appreciates that I love them, and that's something that, like, I enjoy collecting, and so, it's okay. Like, it's not something that she picks on me about or anything like that. Like, those sorts of things aren't healthy, and we don't have any of those situations or topics or interactions because they're not healthy, and we don't want that. Nor do we want to set that example for Trevor. And parenting will be a whole other set of video topics, and maybe a class. We might do a parenting class, I'm not sure, but I write a lot about it on my Facebook page that you can easily find there. So that's essentially kind of the summary on dating and relationships without getting into specifics of other people's relationships. I would be happy to dive into questions, situations, scenarios, whatever it is. I love brainstorming. I love problem solving. I can give you 100 ways to solve a problem if you think there's no answer to it. That's quite frustrating when some people just need to be heard. So I'm also aware of that. But I love answering questions, and I love getting to know about how people operate, both as individuals and in relationships with other people, whether that's a romantic partner or a parental child relationship, siblings, best friends, coworkers, boss and employee, whatever the situation is. I love figuring out who people are and finding out what makes them tick, and helping them through different scenarios. So this was the second part of the dating and relationships video. The first part was about 20 minutes long as well. They'll be linked to each other, so you can find both pretty easily. And you can find more on my website at livegoodlivewell.com. Thank you.